Hello and welcome to Death Row Snacks here at MinnMax. We've all got exactly two things in common. We all gotta eat and we're all gonna die. But we also have a third thing in common on this show where the only food we could get is from a gas station. Today I am joined by video essayist, computer-loving MinnMax cohort, and Shrek Beat Saber fanatic, Jacob Geller. How's it going?
That's true. I am all three of those things.
Beautiful. I specifically asked Leo for deep Jacob lore to complete your intro, and I was hoping.
That's a look, and it's you can no longer find a reference to that because it was written up on the Game Informer website, which is dead.
Rest in peace. And speaking of death, today we're going to be going through some snacks that have some significance to you. We've got 4 categories here. We've got salty, sweet, sips, and surprise. So we'll get to see all of your specific. I don't know if you have. I didn't really clarify. I wanted you to pick your favorites, but I was also hoping you'd have an emotional connection to them. I think we'll find them if they're not immediately apparent.
I'm excited to talk about these because
Good.
If you were like, what is your death row meal? I would maybe have something kind of prepared. But this one, I was just like wandering through a gas station being like, what speaks to me here? Yes. Yeah. Oh, so yeah, real vibes, real in the moment kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like a snack seance. Yeah.
All right. Well, first of all, I guess that leads right into my first question. Have you thought about your last meal before? Is this like a concept that has come to you?
I think so. I've thought about just the concept of a last meal. Look, not to be a downer immediately, but I've spent like a not insignificant time thinking about like capital punishments. And like one of the weird things there is like, okay, you do get to ask for a last meal, but I've always been like, how far do they go with that? Like if I asked for like the world's best foie gras, right, would they be like, we'll find that for you? Or they'd be like, this fucking guy, we're going to give him like a McDonald's meal the same way we do as everyone else. Yeah. And so I've kind of thought about that. But then, it kind of, I think the idea of a last meal is kind of terrifying because like, I don't want to know when I'm going to die.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like, I'm not opposed to picking foods, but it's like I don't want to know that like after this meal I'm dead. And so it's always been kind of a scary concept.
On that note, how often do you think about death as a concept? Are you, and to direct it even more, how often do you think about it, and is it something that like frightens you?
I think about death fairly often. I mean, I think I have like a reputation among the people who watch my channels as being like, oh, Jacob loves to like get dark and like think about death and stuff. Which I do kind of because it is that like, what's something that's inherent to all humanity. But I am not particularly scared of death among the various fears that I have. Mm-hmm. Like I don't want to die, but also I guess I think about like people close to me dying way more than if I die, fine, who cares? But if my partner died or whatever, then I'd be like, no, that's so it's like, I feel like I'm much more like, well, let me take that hit, then I don't have to worry about it.
Yes, absolutely. All right. On that note, let's go to our first course here. Which do you want to start in a specific place? You want to go in order, or is there one you're particularly excited to have?
I feel like, okay, because even the sweets in this have quite a lot of salt, I feel like we should start with sip, just to like have that open.
All right, reveal your sip. We've got,
here it is, a can of Cheerwine, which I'm very glad that you were able to get, even though you're not in the South. Yeah,
I'd never heard of it before. It was in the specialty sodas section at the grocery store. Yeah, I'm gonna get a good, yeah, baby. Okay, like kind of a classic cherry soda.
It is. It's an incredibly sweet but classic cherry soda, which is like, I'm not a big soda drinker in my life. truly almost never. But I do really care about kind of the non-horrible cultural parts of North Carolina.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I love Cookout and I like Bojangles and I like Cheerwine. You know, it's like the food parts of the South I care a lot about. And so like I like that we have a regional soda that North Carolinians are really into. And so, you know, it's like I can't remember the last time that I had a Cheerwine, but if you ask me, like, what's my favorite soda, I would say just from, like, kind of a point of caring about it.
Yeah.
Cheerwine's a big one for me.
Is it like so popular regionally? Can you get this at like a McDonald's, or like would they serve it at restaurants?
They might serve it at some. It's not like a ubiquitous soda fountain thing. But it is like, recently I went to the State Fair, which is one of my favorite places, and it's like they'll have like Cheerwine floats, you know, specifically because they'll know it's like, okay, State Fair is where you eat wacky food, and this one is where you eat wacky North Carolinian food, and that's going to be putting Cheerwine in something crazy.
Yeah. Do you have any specific memories in your life that involved Cheerwine, like the first time you had it, or some particularly impactful time?
I mean, I do remember it is related to the State Fair of like walking in, there would be a bunch of kind of booths before you even got in, and they would have like a little shot glass of Cheerwine that they would be handing to people, and that would be like my first taste of the fair. They do have, Crowboy asked if it's only one flavor. They do actually have multiple flavors, but at that point I'm like, that it kind of ceases to be a regional soda if I'm drinking like Cheerwine vanilla, you know. Then it's like I want the classic. I'd studied abroad in Scotland for a little while I was in school, and in Scotland they have a thing called Iron Brew, spelled IRNBRU, which is a fluorescent orange soda that is like potentially giving kids ADHD or something, but for Scotland
Right.
it is like a piece of cultural heritage, and so they all, you know, it's like even if people don't like it, they kind of feel territorial over it. And I was like, oh, Iron Brew is their Cheerwine.
Do you know why it's called Cheerwine?
I have no idea. It's 1917 is what the can says is its founding, and so I just feel like back in the day it was way easier to name stuff. You know, you could just call it any combination of things.
Let's see, it claims to be the oldest continuing soft drink company still operated by the same family. That's a good disclaimer on there. That's my favorite.
Kind of a lot of qualifications, but still, good for them.
One of my favorite things during the Super Bowl is they're like, wow, that was the longest pass in the first half of the third quarter that the Bengals have ever made in the last 25 years. It's like, all right, so it's not actually that significant.
Cool,
you have
man.
a lot of stuff on there. The family of Louis Peeler has run the Cheerwine company since its founding, and his great-grandson, Charles Clifford Cliff Ritchie, has been CEO and president of Cheerwine's parent company, Carolina Beverage Corporation, since 1992.
Wow.
Charles,
that's amazing.
In there. Beautiful. All right. Interview question. We've talked about your actual last meal. What would it actually be? This is like a dream scenario of any restaurant or any like home cooked thing. It could be like Lost to Time, or it could just be like a thing you eat all the time that would bring you comfort.
Oh, Lost to Time is a good addition. I mean, I think if we remove the specter of I know I'm going to die and so I can't enjoy anything from it, and it is just like what would like the perfect meal for me be, I would like to be in like a small restaurant where like one room where I could see the chef, and the chef was just like handing me things.
Okay,
you know, like one of those, like I don't necessarily want like a big plate of spaghetti pasta or whatever. It's like I want to just kind of like be given things. And part of the like snacks that I picked is a very much like, I don't really go back to my favorites very often. I just want to like try new things. And one of my favorite meals ever was in like a Korean one-room restaurant where it's just like the kitchen was just in the middle of it and they were just like throwing you stuff. And that was awesome. I love tasting a bunch of different things. But if we are bringing back something that no longer exists, there used to be a milkshake shop in Durham, North Carolina called Ox and Rabbit, which was my favorite place in kind of like middle and high school. And they had like an old-fashioned soda counter and, you know, like would kind of make milkshakes the old-fashioned way. And I loved that place, and I have not found a suitable replacement milkshake. And so I would pair my, you know, fancy boutique kitchen meal with a milkshake from this place that no longer exists.
Nice. A great combo. I also like that you picked like an experience over than a specific, which I feel like says a lot about you. Like the single chef throwing out all the plates.
Yeah, and I just like, I kind of like being told what to get. You know, it's like I do not like kind of fast food places where, like kind of a Chipotle where they're like pick each thing. You know, it's like whenever I go to one of those places or like a bowl place, I kind of want one of the pre-prepared ones just because I'm like, I think you know what flavors work together better than me. Like, I'm not a professional at this.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever been to Cane's, Raising Cane's.
No, I haven't.
I like them a lot, and part of the reason I like them so much is because the only thing on their menu is chicken fingers. It is chicken fingers, and you can change the number of chicken fingers, and weirdly they have like, you can get a chicken sandwich, but it's just 3 chicken fingers on a bun. Like, it's not even prepared in a different way. So when you go, it's always fresh because they just can only make the one thing. Right. So it's like fresh, hot chicken tenders. And also it's like, yeah, if you know what you're getting when you go there. Yeah, I fully support that. All right, let's go on to course number 2.
All right, why don't we do the salty, which will be, honestly, there are a couple that could be salty, but the salty combos, cheddar cheese, stuffed snacks.
Let's go. I am a combos fan.
Get that good ASMR. Crackling of the bag right in the mic.
Okay, there we go. And how do you eat them? Are you like one at a time?
Pretty much. I think they're... one of the reasons that I like combos is I think they're like pretty hearty. You know, it's like one is like a significant amount. And honestly, if you have the same bag that I do, this is like a normal chip bag size bag. 6 servings.
Wow, it does say 6 servings, which honestly like, tracks, yeah.
But I pick combos because it's like, if I'm on a road trip, and I want like an actual snack that will mean like I don't have to stop and get a meal, I can just kind of keep driving. It's like trail mix is kind of the, okay, that's the healthy choice, you know, good job, smart guy. But combos are like, they're filling enough that I can kind of like get a bag of combos and then just get through to the destination where presumably there will be like a better meal. Yes,
it's a go-to airport snack for me too. Of like, you're in between stuff. Do you remember like? You know what? Oh, go for it.
I was just gonna say, these are hitting. These are really good.
Honestly, same. It pairs very nicely with the Cheerwine because it's very sweet. So the like, you know, our cheese wine plate. Now, okay, how do you feel about these ones? We have one here that's
where
like,
they're kind of like cracked open.
It's like an amalgamation. It's mostly like cheese kind of caked around the side. Is that more or less appealing to you?
I think if you get more cheese, that's good. If you get some of them, they're like hollow.
Yeah.
And then that's bad. A weird line of dialogue from something that stuck with me is, did you ever watch the USA show Psych?
I'm familiar with it, but I have not seen it. Yeah.
It was just, you know, an irreverent show where, like, you know, the guy pretended to be a psychic and solved mysteries. But there was one line once that was like clearly product placement, but he was just like talking to a woman, and you assume that he's talking about the case, and it cuts in, and he's like, and combos are pretzels and cheese, and if you find a pretzel without cheese, it means the bag is haunted. And I've always like, I remember that line for like 15 years. I thought it was very funny, and I still think about that when I get combos.
That product placement worked. It was like Inception level product placement. It's a permanent memory now. Really good. Okay, yeah, and do you have a specific memory you associate with this food? You know, like the first time you had it, or like a particular road trip that you had it on?
Let's see, a lot of my early long car rides were, or it's like if I was on like a road trip with my parents, we would typically stop and get something, you know, like stop at a restaurant, because my parents, and especially my mom, were both kind of health conscious and like would crash at low blood sugar to the extent that it was like, I can't just get a bag of chips, you know, like I need to get like something that is a meal. And so those were like fairly healthy. And then when I was in Boy Scouts and I started going on like long trips without my parents, suddenly it was just like setting a bunch of boys loose at a gas station and seeing what they bought. And I think that's when I started getting combos. Something that I considered getting for the sweet, but ultimately didn't, is peach rings, which is like a classic gas station snack. And I remember once I was sitting next to a friend, and we had like a kind of a short bus for Boy Scouts that would, you know, drive us to places. And he had got a bag of peach rings and had just been eating them on this like 5-hour trip. And he like finished the bag and looked at the back and realized that it was 19 servings. And it was just like, oh no.
That's such an absurdly high number of servings to put in a bag like that. It was not
an unreasonably sized bag. It was like a little bigger than normal, and it was just like, oh, this is what I should have had of peach rings in a year.
That's so funny. I also wonder with that, like, I imagine it's just a thing. This is a thing I've always thought. I'm sure I heard it somewhere, but I don't know if it's actually true or not, that they set the serving size low so that you look at the back and you're like, oh, it's only X amount of calories.
Yeah,
and you don't think about
I totally think that's the case. You know, or like, yeah, they're like, you know, this is only 20% of your daily sodium, and it's like serving size 3 peach rings.
Yes, yeah. And I wonder if there are people that look at the back to see the serving size and are like so particular, like, oh, guess I'm only having 2 Oreos.
I mean, even with trail mix, which you think of as fairly healthy, I think it's just so kind of dense, you know, like nuts are really calorically rich, that like a little bag of trail mix will be multiple servings. And I always kind of look at that on you know, when I'm in the car, and I'm like, am I gonna only eat half of this bag? And inevitably I decide, like, no, I'm gonna eat, it's open, there are M&Ms in there, I'm gonna have the whole thing.
Exactly, yeah. What is the happiest memory you associate with food?
Ooh, I like that question. I'm trying to think of like big kind of food moments in my life. I mean, I remember like early, not super early, but like when I was like probably starting at like 9 or 10, my mom just being like, hey, what do you want for your birthday dinner? And kind of being like, one, an amazing amount of power just handed to me, you know, what could it be? And 2, like, I love pizza. I could just choose pizza, but also we probably have pizza like once every 2 weeks. So it's like, it's not like that special to get a pizza. And so picking like, I want pigs in a blanket, and then getting like full hot dog, Pillsbury croissant, you know, like the good pigs in a blanket was, that was really, it was a very kind of like nice thing. And I felt like I got to choose it. I also, this might be the answer. Once I, like I said, I studied abroad in Scotland. I adored Scotland. I loved being in Edinburgh. not a good food city. At least not if you were eating kind of like traditionally Scottish food is not the best. And while I was there, me and a couple friends did like a 24-hour trip to Paris because flights are like super cheap if you're already in Europe. And when I was in Paris, I ate like a ham and cheese crepe that I got from a street vendor. And I remember it being so good. I like almost started crying because it'd been like 3 months of just bland Scottish food, and then having this and just being like, oh my God, food has flavor. I forgot.
That's so good. My brother is in France right now. He's doing a like teaching in France program. So he knows French, but he's teaching at a French school. He's teaching an English class, like as a student teacher. But he talks about the food there a lot. I think he studied abroad there like a year ago, and he said in the months he was there, he didn't have a single bad meal, and it was also all super affordable. Yeah,
it is amazing to go places. I mean, it's and just have that kind of like this didn't even cost that much.
Yeah.
I used to be. It's been a while now, but for like most of my kind of youth and adolescence, I was a pretty picky eater. And then one day there was just like a switch that flipped in my brain, and now I eat everything. But I remember like the first time that I think I had pho before ramen, but the first time that I had like a really rich broth soup, and I was like, I didn't know liquid could taste like this. You know, I didn't know that something could have this much flavor in it, and kind of that like incredible realization. And I was kind of like mad at myself for being like, I could have been having this.
How old were you?
I probably like 17 or 18.
Okay. Yeah, no, there is the mentality of like, oh, I don't really like soup. And then being like, oh wait, I don't really like Campbell's soup, which is like a different class of thing. Hi, toaster. Yeah, wonderful. All right, let's move on to course number 3.
Okay. I feel like we should leave the surprise for last.
Yeah,
right?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Okay. Course number 3, and I don't know if you got this particular brand because this seemed just kind of random gas station brand.
Yeah.
But it's yogurt pretzels.
I have the
by Valued Naturals.
Okay, I have like a Kroger brand one.
This seems the same.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Which I haven't actually had this particular brand, so I hope I'm not let down. But I just love covered pretzels so much. Oh, these are good. These are really good.
Why yogurt, not chocolate?
They didn't have chocolate at the gas station.
Which do you prefer?
This gas station is my menu.
Which of the two do you prefer?
I think chocolate tastes better, though yogurt might be more versatile, you know, in that like, even though I'm sure the health difference is completely negligible.
Yeah.
It does feel a little more of a rogue move to just be eating chocolate pretzels like in the middle of a day, but it's like, hey, yogurt, that's healthy.
Yeah. Honestly, I was expecting it, because I don't think I've ever had yogurt covered pretzels. I was expecting it to feel more, I don't know, not as sweet. And then we have different brands and stuff, but it was more decadent than I thought. It's
very sweet. I used to have, I think like a lunchbox snack I used to get was like yogurt covered raisins, and it would also be, it was like, man, I don't even like yogurt that much, but these are good.
Yeah, and also, is this yogurt? Like, can you just let yogurt sit on something the way you can with chocolate?
I'm not sure what their definition of yogurt is, you know, how they've made it into a perfectly shelf-stable thing.
My ingredients say,
oh my gosh,
yogurt.
Giant Bomb is rating us.
Oh, sick.
Hi, Giant Bomb.
Welcome, Giant Bomb. We're talking about yogurt flavored. So yeah, I should be clear. Mine actually says yogurt flavored covered pretzels.
Oh, that's very funny.
So it says
these just say yogurt pretzels.
My first ingredient in the ingredients list is yogurt flavored coating.
Oh, same here though.
Okay.
That's so funny. Yeah, okay, these are the ingredients of yogurt flavored coating. Sugar, palm oil, non-fat dry milk, whey powder, non-fat yogurt powder. So non-fat yogurt powder is the last ingredient.
Exact same ingredients in order here. Wonderful. So as a part of your last meal, these yogurt pretzels, do you remember first yogurt pretzel, first covered pretzel, or in general, perhaps a person that also likes this food a lot that you associate it with?
I don't know. I don't know where like the first one that I would have had it was, but an early memory that I have with them is there's another place in like walking distance to my house when I grew up called no, it was Parker and Otis, which is, if you're in Durham, it's still around. It's not in the place that it used to be, but it was a place that was just kind of like one of those places that you could get a sandwich, and you would also go if you just needed to find like an adult gift for someone. You know, they had like a bunch of cookbooks and like an expensive olive oil and various stuff.
You mean adult gift like an adult person?
Not like
a Spencer's kind of. Okay.
Yeah, a grown-up gift. But one of the things that they had was they did sell kind of bulk candy, and they had glass jars, and you could fill up a bag and then they'd weigh it and you could buy it. And thinking back on it, it was a super funny thing that my friend and I did, because it was essentially like, well, we're 14, we can't go like get a drink somewhere. So what we would do is we would walk to this place, fill up our little bags, and buy like a cream soda and those bags, and then like sit on the balcony of that store and eat them.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. And they had covered pretzels there, and I would always get those as like part of the variety pack.
And was it yogurt or chocolate, or did you mix it up?
I think I'd get both.
Okay. Yeah. That feels correct.
And it's just that thing of like, even though I knew, I was like, this is probably my favorite, you know, like, I don't know, like the Whoppers or the malted milk balls. I'd be like, this is probably my favorite thing in this bulk candy section, but I'm not going to get a whole bag of just those. Like, I still have to get a little bit of each of them, because that variety was more fun than just having like your one favorite thing.
Was this before or after your like internal switch of like, okay, I'm not a picky eater anymore?
It was before.
Okay.
I was never a picky eater when it came to candy.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. Yeah,
I was like very open-minded.
Yeah. Beautiful. What do you think happens after you die?
Nothing, probably. I like. That's such a funny swing. One of the reasons that I like Judaism, or at least Reform Judaism, which is kind of the sect that I'm in, is there's like very little time spent on that question. You know, it's almost an aggressively anti. Not that they are aggressive in saying there is no afterlife, but just like, we're not gonna talk about it. You know, like it's just not a focus at all, which I like, because it does kind of seem disappointing in a way to live your life thinking about the thing that's going to happen after your life. You know, if anyone is out there who has a strong belief in an afterlife and they get a lot out of it, that's great. But like, from the outside, it seems like there are a lot of kind of negative knock-ons to thinking about your life in that way. I do like to think that there is some kind of, basically like the Force or something, sure. I guess, like some kind of just like interconnected energy that like when you die, the soul part of your body, you know, whatever energy was kind of animating you, returns to something else, but it's in like the least literal way possible. You know, it's never, I would never say like, and you get to do this. It's just kind of like something happens, you know, matter cannot be created or destroyed. And so it's just like, it just goes somewhere else.
Does that bring you comfort in thinking about death, with that being the concept? And do you think that if it does bring you comfort, do you think that's why you think that?
That's a good question. I mean, I certainly do think that believing in hell would not bring me comfort, you know, and so maybe that's part of why I'm not a big hell guy. But I think, you know, I think that a lot of my kind of course with spirituality through life was like, kid, you know, believe whatever. Not even that like my parents were like super God people, but just it's like, well, you know, it seems like most people believe in God, so I guess they're probably right. And then like teen, super atheist, just like, no, it's all fake. And now I'm kind of coming back to like, I don't know, maybe it's nice to just believe in something, you know? And so like, I do think that there is a comfort in that. It just kind of like, I like thinking that it's not all complete entropy, you know, and I don't think that thinking that like affects my behavior in any way. I'm not like, no, and we don't need to care about climate change because there's, you know, everything's gonna have a plan. But like, yeah, I think it's it just feels a little more like humanistic or something almost to be like, yeah, I bet we're all kind of connected in some way.
Sure. Do you want to go on to course number 4?
Let's do it. The mystery course.
The surprise course.
And here's where I'll tell you, I've never had one of these before.
Okay, all right.
But it really spoke to me. It's a hot mama pickle in a bag, specifically the hot and spicy pickle.
Did we have the same one? I think
here,
so.
Wait, can I? Well, let's see. I need to see your other camera.
Yeah, no, I can
holding
move
it up. Yeah, because we got the kind of sexy pickle lady.
Yeah, the color of the package was just different. I didn't know if I was being like racist against pickle people, or I'm like, yeah, all the hot lady pickles look the same.
And I'll tell.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go. You're the guest.
Okay, well, I will say, so this was full of pickle juice, and I had a horrible vision of me failing to open it and just spilling pickle juice into my computer, and so I did open this beforehand and drain it.
We were about to say the exact same thing, except I didn't drain it, and I do have a bowl here.
Okay, well, that's also smart.
I'm gonna try to open it over. Man, it'd be so funny if I opened this pickle and then the stream immediately ended. That would be the funniest thing ever.
Or your screen just turned green somehow. All right, I'm gonna take a bite of this pickle.
Oh man. Oh, it's so girthy. Ooh, oh wow, that liquid is so much brighter than I expected. All right.
It is fluorescent green. It is a neon green liquid.
I want to try to, I don't know if I can get it on camera really, but it's got like a...
Yeah, it looks like a Mountain Dew. It looks like you got a bowl of Mountain
Dew. All right. Oh yeah.
I mean, that's a pickle.
That's a pickle.
It is really big.
I've seen cucumbers, and they don't make them like this. They don't make them like this is like a baby's leg.
Yeah. So I remember I used to another Boy Scouts thing where I remember like once we were driving through like Texas, and I saw like a pickle in a bag in Texas, and it wasn't branded like this. It was a more almost like maybe the gas station made it themselves, or they have like a local supplier or something. And then slowly the pickles have been, they've been, nationalizing. They're all over. And I actually, one of my favorite books I've read in the past year or two is Jamie Loftus's book Raw Dog, which is kind of about the history of the hot dog, but is also kind of just like a diary of her driving around eating hot dogs from all over the country. And she has an extended section where she writes about the pickle family and like all the weird gender dynamics of the pickles and all of that. And so I was like, look, in tribute to Loftus and her pickle writing, I will get a hot mama pickle.
That's really great. Yeah, I love they have characters for every flavor, which more foods should do, I think.
Do you know?
Yeah, go ahead.
And so A&W is a chain both in America and in Canada, but the Canada A&W is reportedly way better. And part of the thing that they have is like the burger family, where at A&W Canada you can get like the mama burger or the teen burger or the grandpa burger, and they're all just like different sizes and have various things on them.
Okay.
But they don't have the burger family in the United States.
So the family is like, they're not burgers.
What's unclear, it's like, yeah, is this the burger that a teen would eat, or is this burger somehow a teenager, and that's why it has like 2 patties and cheese on it?
Yeah. I'm replacing you with the burger family here. We'll see how well this works on my amateur stream attempts. So we've got 5 members of the burger family here. I assume they all have names, but looking at them, I wouldn't immediately think, oh, these are burger people. I'll send it in the chat so you can see.
And it's like, okay, Grandpa has just 3 patties. That's what Grandpa does.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. I love weird, obscure mascot lore like that. Okay, so that I guess that is your pickle memory. What was it that came over you that was like, because you've never had this before? Was it truly the book? Were you like, this category is called surprise. Were you trying to surprise yourself as well?
I just think that a pickle is kind of the most like offbeat thing, that you could get at a gas station while still not being like a banana or something. It's like sometimes gas stations have like fruit and I'm like, what are you doing here? But it just seemed like, I mean, I love eating, like I will just have pickles in the fridge and like take one out and eat one as a snack. I think that's just like a nice thing to do sometimes. But it was like, this is not, it's not a chip, it's not a candy, it's not like a pre-prepared sandwich. It's literally just a pickle.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I feel like we're more culinarily aligned than I thought with just the things that you enjoy eating and doing, like just straight pickles. Oh shoot, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say, I also find it interesting, your food stuff in general is, I'm asking you about the experiences around your food, but for you to take one of your death row snacks and be like, I'm doing this because of the gas station vibe, same way as you're like, if I had my actual last meal, I'd want it to be like a cool experience. Do you value those experiences over the like single food item? Is that a thing you've thought about before, or am I off base here?
No, I think I do. I mean, I'm always just, maybe it is the kind of like, maybe there's one better, but it's just like, it's like if I'm at, again, it's like if I go, I love ice cream. if I'm at an ice cream place, I kind of want to get a flavor that I've never had before, just because I'm like, what if this one's the best, you know? And so I don't know if I was truly on death row if that impulse would leave me, but I do always feel like, you know, it's like I never gamble with money, but I will kind of roll the dice on like, that looks like kind of a cool veggie burger. Maybe I'll try that, even though this place is known for, you know, something else.
Does do you fear that it's bad at all, or is that part of it?
I mean, sometimes you just get something that doesn't taste very good. Mm-hmm. You know, and I do think there is some level of like not being at peace, you know, where I'm like, I always need to try something else. But if I think about the alternative, which would be like figuring out what you like and then always just getting that thing, I'd way rather be on my side, you know,
sure.
Of just like, you know, if someone was like, would you rather always have to get a different thing from a restaurant or always get the same thing from a restaurant? I would be like, give me the different thing.
We've talked a lot about people dying. But are there any deaths of like non-living things that have upset you in your life? So this would be like the closure of a restaurant we mentioned about, the premature ending of a TV show, or even like a statue being torn down in a town, some like man-made thing that has been taken away.
That's interesting. Sorry, I'm eating combos.
That is also part of the show. We should be able to eat combos. I spilled pickle juice on mine, but it made it better.
Have you seen the Dua Lipa Coke, or I think it's Coke, where she puts pickle juice and jalapeno juice in a Coke?
I've heard of it. Yeah, I haven't tried it.
And then there are other celebrities who are trying it, and they're like, it's kind of good.
I saw it in an interview with Kieran Culkin and Jesse Eisenberg.
That's what I also saw, and I could not tell. I have no sense of if Kieran Culkin is ever being sincere. And so when he said it's good, I was like, I don't know if that's real. I was really into, I watched from the first episode, the TV show Community, which was on NBC. I feel like people don't know it premiered the same night as Parks and Rec. So I watched like the first night of Community and the first night of Parks and Rec at the same time. And that was a classic show that the audience that it had was insane about it. And then, but like it did not have a larger audience at all. And so every season they'd be like, is this gonna be canceled? And then a bunch of us would come out of the woodwork and be like, no. And then it would kind of get another season and it would be like, oh, this one's half length, or like, oh, they fired the director, but like it would still keep going. And there were several times that I thought like Community is truly done, that I was very sad about. So that was interesting, and kind of like it kept getting killed and then resurrected, and just being like, how do I feel about that? Let's see, I'm trying to think of like, architecture or whatever. You know, I've never had, I know like my partner loved her grandparents' house, which was like knocked down at some point, which, you know, was like very emotional for her. My parents have always lived in the same house, and like my grandparents have basically always lived in the same house as long as I've been alive. And so I've never had something like that.
When you say knocked down, do you mean like natural disaster knocked down, or like they sold it
was
and someone...
just like they just sold it.
Okay. Yeah.
And it became something else. But yeah, I mean, my other answer would have been that milkshake place, the Ox and Rabbit, which was just because it was not just that it had good milkshakes, but it was like a place where I like hung out and like knew the owners, and, you know, basically what you would do at like a local bar, but I was under drinking age, and so instead I was doing it with milkshake. But it felt like somewhere where I was like, this is my territory, I'm like comfortable here. And so that was that was sad to see it go.
Yeah. If tomorrow you found out that you couldn't do your job anymore because it was either the internet like exploded or, you know, talking about video games was made illegal or something like that, what do you think you would do instead? I don't want to get nitpicky with the question, but it is an interesting question of like, what is my job? Is my job talking about video games, or is it like being a YouTuber, or, you know, it's like, my idea of being like, whatever you're doing now, whatever your weekly schedule is, all the things you do that make money, if you were doing none of those, and now you have to find a new thing.
That's, you know, I think that I would, you know, I had a non-video game job before this where I was like a research assistant at a behavioral science company, and like that was fine. And I got done with my days pretty early. I went home and I like didn't have to do any more work on them, which was like, you know, it would, if I wanted like a good separation of work and life, that was awesome. But it is hard for me to think of kind of going back to a normal type of job where I just like have a boss and
clock in.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and so I'm trying to think of like, you know, could I write in some other way or something? Like I would love to be a researcher for something else. You know, like if doing background on someone else's, like, you know, movie or book or podcast or whatever. I mean, I have zero experience with film production in a meaningful way, but I find it so interesting. I would really like to learn how to be a type of video editor that I'm not now. You know, it's like I'm good at editing a video essay that has almost no relation to how like you would edit a TV show or something. You know, it's like it's like reading a different language. You know, it's like being able to read English does not help me read Arabic or whatever. So that's, you know, I would find that really interesting, and I would like to maintain the kind of creativity that I have now with something else like that.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Finally, we're gonna move on to our lightning round. Other than me, who's the actual person, dead or alive, you'd share your last meal with? Pick one person.
I mean, it's boring to say Annie, my partner, so I won't. I'll not her. Some other.
I mean,
cool
you
person.
can.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, like I get like, you know, a childhood friend back or something, but I don't know. It would probably be like Annie or my parents. You know, boring answer, but like, what are you gonna do?
Who's your dream eulogizer at your funeral?
Oh, that's a great question. The answer is, I would say, I have almost had this, which is an insane thing to say about a eulogizer. But I, for my book, How a Game Lives, which comes out in a couple months, the foreword is written by one of my favorite authors, whose name is Nana Kwame Ajayi-Brenya. He wrote like Chain Gang All-Stars, which came out last year. And it is almost a foreword that I would like to have read at my funeral. Like, he is so complimentary in it, and he's so talented that it feels crazy to read it. But apart from him, I think my favorite writer is a woman named Patricia Lockwood, who wrote a book called like Priest Daddy, and is a poet. And she just writes, she has a chapter in that book about a funeral that is some of the most beautiful writing about death I've read. And it's like, that's for a guy that I don't know anything about. And so her, you know, if I just want someone to be kind of like poetic about death.
Yeah. What song do you want played at your funeral?
Oh, I have said this before.
Okay.
Specifically, it is the song Captain Toad Goes Forth from Super Mario 3D Land.
Whoa.
Which, do you have the ability to play music through this?
I think I can try. Captain Toad Goes Forth. Can we hear this on the stream? This is just the theme, Captain Toad's theme.
Yeah, I'm listening to the stream, but I just picture like a coffin being lowered into the ground while this plays.
That's really good.
Oh, okay, now. Yes. So that's what I want played at my funeral.
Beautiful. Sick. That's a great. Do you really like that song? You think it would be like ironic?
I just think it's the funniest.
Okay.
Option.
Yeah.
I mean,
fair.
It genuinely would be probably. It's like most of the music that I care about the most is video game music. So it'd be cool to have like something from The Last Guardian played at my funeral or something.
What's the hardest goodbye you've ever had to say?
I mean, I have, I had like a family dog that we put down and stuff, and so that was really hard.
What age was that?
I was probably 17, 18. The dog was like 13. So that was tough. I'm trying to think of like from people. I don't know. I think I've been like dumped before, and the kind of goodbye of like, yeah, we're still gonna be chill. It's almost like before you're out the door, you're kind of still in a relationship, and then when you leave, the like seal is broken or whatever, and so it's like, okay, in here it's still kind of like okay, and then I'm gonna leave, and not only will I be dumped, and honestly, it's the same if you're breaking up with someone. Like either of them feel terrible. But like, I'm gonna leave now, and I know that even if I come in this room again, the vibe is gone. Like the air will be different. That sucks. No matter if the relationship like should be ending, if you both agree on it, it's still like, this is. I wish I did not have to feel this feeling.
Yeah. What is your biggest fear?
Easy answer. I think I've said this on the MinnMax show before. I'm in my house. It's night. I look out the window. Someone's looking back in. That's it. Easy answer.
Succinct.
Yep.
Is it scary if you knew it was a specific person, or is just the concept of a person scarier?
It's much scarier if it's not a specific person. If I knew them, I would be like, that's weird. Why are they doing that? But if I didn't know them, I would be like, this is somehow like God is, or like the devil is appearing.
Yeah. I do remember when I was a kid, my mom signed me up for like, it was Red Cross classes on, it was like training kids safety stuff so they could stay home alone without their parents. So I was like 10 and my mom was like, we're gonna start leaving you home alone. And I don't remember that much of it, but one of the things I remember is there's like a packet on there, and it was like, had an illustration. It was like, never open the door for anyone you don't know while you're home alone. And there's a picture of like, basically like the incognito tab face, which is like trench coat fedora, like in the window, and you can only see the eyes. And that like traumatized me far more than any other. Like if mom had just said, don't open the door for people who don't know, I'd be like, that's fine. But then like fedora guy was like haunting my dreams.
Right. No, I mean, Haley on the recent MinnMax video where Haley and I played the game Anatomy, she's said there is someone called like the Halifax Sleepwatcher that like broke into people's houses and watched them sleep. And I was like, Haley, you cannot tell me that. Like, I can't know that that's like a real guy who exists.
Oh my gosh. What's your greatest regret?
I think I was just like a mean teenager, you know. I kind of felt bullied, or I felt inferior, and so then I was like, I'm getting back at people by like being shitty, when in reality I was like, I was just shitty, you know. and so it's just like, you know, that kind of like, I wish I could just go back and be like, oh, nothing bad happens if you're nice to people, you know?
Do you feel that way? Was there like a specific era you remember? It was just like all your teenage years, or was there like an environment or like a class you were like, oh, I was mean here, or like, oh, I was always mean at football for some reason, or?
I was not mean at football because I was not on the football
I'm
field.
Sorry, I don't know why I said that.
I won't blame it on environment, because I think it was some internal stuff that I had to work through. But like I have gone to public schools my entire life, except for like 2 years in middle school when me and my family were like, maybe we'll try this. And it was the worst schooling experience of my life. And it did just feel, I don't know if it's just because everyone was wealthier, or because it was a smaller environment and so kind of things got more like concentrated, or just it was middle school, and middle school was like the worst time in anyone's life. But it was like, you know, 6th and 7th grade were just like, you know, if I could have like sent myself to like work on a farm those years instead of being in school, I would.
I get that. Final question. Are you happy?
Yeah, I just had a combo, pretzels and cheese. I'm happy.
That's gonna live in my brain the way the psych quote lives in your brain. Like, are you happy? Yeah, I just had a combo.
No, I feel very happy. I think for a long, I mean, I'm 29. I'm gonna turn 30 soon, and for a lot of my 20s, I was just like, whatever I'm doing now is not stable, and I still feel like I've just got to like, there are like a bunch of question marks in the future. And right now, other than the big one, given that we're recording this on Tuesday, November 5th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, other than like one big question mark, I'm actually like, I can kind of see, you know, what my next several years look like in a really good way. So yeah, I think I'm happy.
Nice. That's great to hear. As a final closing out, give to the audience your last words, because this is Death Row, so this is going to be your final words.
Combos are pretzels and cheese, and if you find a pretzel without cheese, it means the bag is haunted. So long, everyone.
Wonderful. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This has been Death Row Snacks. Cool. Okay, I imagine that'll be the video cut point. You have anything you want to plug, I guess?
Yeah, check out the MinnMax show. I like that place.
Yeah.
That's it. I've got a new video coming out probably this week. Sign up for Nebula. You can watch. I'm wearing a Leo Vader shirt right now. You can see both me and Leo on Nebula.
Love that guy. If you go to charleshart.com I just added in a new tab on my page. If people want to request private TTRPG sessions like I do here on MinnMax, I've been doing some of those. Play Dungeons & Dragons, or I can do like a quick one-shot like Roll for Shoes we've done on New Show Plus in the past. You can also check me out on Indie Informer, and then of course I'm on socials at ChuckDuck365. Jacob, I assume I got your name, your @ right, Jacob G42.
Yeah.
Cool.
This is a really nice website, Charles.
What is?
Your website.
Oh, thank you.
It looks good.
I thought I was just talking about Twitter. I thought you like discovered Twitter for the first time. You're like, hey,
no,
it's
not
great.
A really
here.
nice website. I actually think that's not true at all.
Thank you.
Every week, we let Patreon supporters choose which new show we create with New Show Plus. Should we create another episode of the show you just watched? Check out the biggest new game release? Get into Sea of Thieves? Create an exercise show? It is your call. So thanks to everybody who subscribes on YouTube or supports us over on Patreon. MinnMax exists because of you. As always, if you enjoy MinnMax content, any help telling a friend is appreciated.